Okay, everyone. So we are going to continue on with a live demonstration of EJSCREEN. Um, so part 2 of this training. This is about an additional 30 minutes, just so you know. So you're going to navigate to epa.gov/EJSCREEN. This is their landing page. All the information that was in part 1 of this workshop came right from here. So all the slides came from this Learn to Use EJSCREEN section. They do have sometimes in-person office hours. They have a lot of recorded office hours and trainings as well, tip sheets, etc. All the definitions I used in part 1 are right here, and understanding your results. If you have ArcGIS or other GIS software, you can download the raw data there and make your own maps as you see fit for your project. So like I stated in part 1, this tutorial is going to really focus on what's needed for the grant, which is very rudimentary information. So this is one of the pages that you will be filling out um, in Excel. This is just for reference. So the top here, you describe your community engagement activities. And then this bottom part is where you're going to list the communities that you are working with. So a community isn't always a whole city or county. Um, it might be a smaller geography like a couple of census tracts or a few block groups. It really depends on, what your project entails. Um, just to get the EJSCREEN supplemental demographic index percentile, I'll show you a quick and easy way to do that, just to put the number there. Although I will say attaching and listing that community report would be helpful to our reviewers. Again, this is just so that we can compare communities because we have 4 states that we're working with, so we need to be able to compare them equally. And again, this is just for reference and putting projects into context. We are not choosing projects just because they are in certain kinds of communities, right? So this is kind of supplementary um, information for your project. Should you choose to use additional data from EJSCREEN specifically, we just want you to note it here and just your reasoning, very short because you'll have a narrative, right? So you're going to write all of your reasoning in that narrative. So again, from the home screen, you're going to either click here or down here and launch the tool, and it will bring you, to a map like this. If you've never launched before, you'll be all the way out here in World View, which is not very helpful and is a little tilted for some reason today. So what you're going to do is go in this upper bar here and type in the community that you're working in. So I'm going to go ahead and use Camden, New Jersey, just because it's an area I'm familiar with. So I'll be able to show you some things quickly. So it zoomed right into Camden community. So then on your left here is everything you're going to need to know. So remember from part 1, the difference between the EJ indices and the supplemental indices, right? So the supplemental demographic index is located down here, which is this. So this is your number that you're going to put in your form when you get it. So that correlates to this. Okay. So for quick and dirty answer, all you're going to do is hit socioeconomic factors, click this, you get this crazy map. If you're doing the whole city or if you're doing just a neighborhood, you can then click on whatever block group or geography is important to you, and bam, right there for that particular block group, I'm getting an 87th percentile. So I could just type that in and be done if that's all you want to do. You don't have to include a map or a report. It's just helpful. Okay. So that's kind of your meat and potatoes, quite honestly. Again, this is another block group right next to it. That one's in the 96th percentile. So, and if you're doing block groups, um, you want to generate a report for that block group. You hit generate report, and we'll go into this a little bit later. But basically, you'd hit community report there. This lags a little bit when I am screen recording. It's usually faster. So as that's loading, we'll just go back here to show you what I did again. So I clicked on this particular block group. So that's where I'm going to focus. That's it. You just click on it, and I hit EJSCREEN Community Report. And it looks like it's ready. So for that one block group where there's 1,000 people that live, this is all of the demographic information that you could want. Again, we're going to the supplemental indexes. They are way up there. This is an impacted community. Your supplemental demographic index, again, is located here. Percentile in the USA, again, because we have 4 states we are comparing. So you want to use that one, 96%, right? And so then you could just print, you could put, print this, and you can PDF it and then send it as an attachment, and just use the naming convention that is outlined both in the RFP and on part 1 of the video. So that's kind of the down and dirty meat and potatoes. Let me dive a little bit deeper for you, okay? So again, just to reiterate, the environmental justice indices are just people of color, low income, multiplied by your pollution source. The supplemental indices are 5 of these, which are, I think they spell it out here. Yeah. Low income, unemployment, high school education, English speaking, low life expectancy. So it's those indicators multiplied by your pollution and sources. So if you want to include maps in your application, just to kind of show us what's going on, because again, reviewers could be from anywhere and many different disciplines. You can do that. So let's just take this off of here, supplemental demographic index. You can do this one of 2 ways. You can click on this again and it will go away, or you can go up here and in the little corner, it will remove this layer from the map. Okay, so this is still our target area. So if you just want to say, let's look at wastewater discharge. Is it a problem in that area? Yes, it's a problem. Okay. But over here is kind of the real issue, honestly. But, maybe there's a reason why you want to work in this community. So that's fine. It's still it's still an impacted community. So if you wanted to show that map, you could always show, just go up in here and print the map, or you can go into tools and print the map. You can do, map only. You can play with this, how you want to title it, etc., and export it and print it just like this. So that's one thing you could do. And again, in the layers that are offered, we've got the health disparities. Don't know how applicable it is, but perhaps there's a cancer cluster or something that you want to focus on. So for this community, look at this cluster here. That's interesting. So maybe when you're talking about, maybe that's a community that you are focused on. I mean, don't change your project just because you find something interesting. I'm just saying, if that's your community and cancer rates are in those high percentiles, you may have some interesting reasons why um, habitat restoration in that area would not only affect stream health on the Cooper River, but also, people health. Um, so that could be, relevant. Asthma sometimes can be relevant. For example, you want to plant more native trees. Um, that just natives in general get people outside. Um, you know, that is a big issue throughout the city of Camden, but again, our neighborhood that I've highlighted in particular is impacted. So again, only bring these up if it's relevant to your project, because it's really about wildlife first. People are kind of second, but as we kind of know, when you help wildlife, you generally help people. So there's also the service gaps here. So if you were telling me that your community outreach strategy was, through um, social media, etc., and I click in as a reviewer and I look and I'm like, huh, that neighborhood has like no broadband. I wonder if that outreach strategy is going to be effective. You might want to consider that when you're putting together your proposals. Again, we don't need it for a map, but it might be something to consider when you're coming up with your strategies, right? Um, Threshold map was briefly touched in part one. Again, supplemental indices, compare to US, whatever you want your percentile range to be. And then here, you can choose more than one pollution indicator. I'm not going to add it to the map because in screen share it doesn't work very well, but perhaps you want to do wastewater discharge and underground storage tanks. And then you could add it to the map and it would make a whole new layer combining those two um, pollution. I hit add to map by accident. Pollution indices versus down here where, oh, there it goes, versus down here where it would just do one, right? So if you're doing here, it's only doing one at a time. And we're looking for purple on the map, and there's not a whole lot of purple. So, um, but I digress. So the next thing is places. So again, this is kind of could be part of your outreach strategy. Say you want to work with schools in the area. It will map as points. And then you could say, look, there's a school here. There's a school here. So maybe this school would be in this block that you would work with and say, oh, they're a partner. That's how we're going to get out some of our information because the school's right there. Um, all these other things. Um, if you're working in New Jersey or Delaware, we do have other indigenous areas as state designated tribal statistical areas. So I will pull out so you can see that more effectively. So you see down here and over here in this part of Delaware are in the watershed. So if you're near those communities, it would be worthwhile to engage them in your project if they themselves are not applying for this. So that is some information. And then, additional tools like you can measure distances and things if you need to. You can add shape files again if you use your own GIS and you want to add points to this to say like here where our monitoring points are that we're creating a plan for, or here's how we know this is a problem because we monitor along the Delaware at these points, and that's part of your application, just to show us where those points are. You can add that in, or you know, you have landscape data you want to put up, whatever you want. You can add those shape files in here. And then I showed you the print feature before. You can print or save your maps. And then the reports, I'm just going to navigate back to Camden. So the reports here are, you know, where the soup to nuts. So we did one tract, and you can, for the sake of your report here, do tract by tract by tract. So if you're doing like 6 or 7 tracts, put census tract, whatever it is. And then as we saw when we generated the report, I should not have closed that. It tells you what census tract it is right on the top. So this is block group right here. That's the FIPS number. You can copy that, paste it right into here and say City of Camden, block group, put the FIPS number, 96 percentile, and that's it. You know, if you're doing a different geography, maybe you are up by Port Jarvis. And it's a little more, you know, rural up there, and you're doing something, you know, on the Neversink River, maybe into Martin Lake, something in this neighborhood. Maybe you want to do, you're saying, oh, I want to do a whole county. I'm going to do the whole county. And you zoom out and you're like, wow, that really goes far west. So as a reviewer, I'm going to look at this and say, the whole county is not in the watershed. If you're not sure, I'm going to add a shapefile, which you're not going to be able to see me navigating to. Oops. You can see that the whole county is not in the watershed. So for your project, including the whole county as your target community is not appropriate. So you would have to redefine your area, right? So I'm going to turn this layer off, and we're going to delete this site because we know we can't do the whole county. And we're going to have to do kind of this area here. You can see the watershed boundary is this orange line. Unfortunately, you cannot change the color of that line. So we're going to have to do things on this side. So that may include then doing something more along tracts or cities. So that's the wrong tract because it's on the wrong side of the watershed. Okay. And if you have to select multiple tracts, it's a big area. And you're going to go by tract, right? So I select multiple, choose your geography. And we're going to go over here. Okay, that's one tract along there. You're still in the watershed, and then you're thinking to yourself, we're also going to go over here and include this tract for reservoir number 3, and then we're going to include this for Port Jarvis. And this section too. So you see, as the population grows, those tracts become smaller in geographical size, right? So you can only add 5 at a time. So we'll just say this is our study area. And then you hit submit, and it will generate a report for you based on that whole area. So we've got almost 14,000 people that we're looking at. Kind of a mix of languages. Good to know, again, when you're doing your outreach plan, if you have to translate things. You know, again, just gives it some context. There's some stuff going on here related to, you know, hazardous waste and Superfund proximity, things like that, things that make that community a little more vulnerable than some other ones. So then this supplemental demographic index for this particular one area is 59%. But again, depending on what your project is, how much wildlife impact it has, how much watershed impact it has, that number is, again, just to put it in context with the other projects. And this could be a good map to, to make, to print and include just so that we can see it in the context of other things. Um, you might want to include the state boundaries on this one because you are kind of on the border of the three states. So again, in the context of the watershed, something in this area could make, a large impact for a lot of different people. The one thing you cannot do is cross borders when you want to select multiple. So you cannot, I'll stay on tracts. You cannot say, I'm going to select this tract. Why isn't it selecting? It's not zoomed in enough. This tract. Oh, it did this before. So you can't select something in New York and then go across and select something in Pennsylvania. So there's that one. It won't let you then select Pennsylvania. So you'll get this um, error message. So if you are working across state lines and working with a partner organization in an area like this, where you are across state lines, you have to do them separately. But that's okay. And then just as a reminder, all this information will be on our NewJerseyAudubon.org watershed grants page. There'll be a video here. It's not up yet. And, the how to apply. And then down here are all of your application references. So these are just references that you can print out to use. These are the complete application materials. And to find out more, if you lost the EJSCREEN tools, you can always launch them from here as well. So I hope that was helpful. And as always, I will scroll down so you can see my contact information. Please email me, call me, or book a strategy session with me. That goes right on my calendar, and we can go through some things together. So thank you all, and good luck.